So, one of the things that keeps me up at night. So, tonight, I'm thinking about the solution to the Nigerian housing problem. We all know that Nigeria is in dire need for proper housing. If you give Nigerians or provide the housing infrastructure for at least 60% of Nigerians who desperately need proper housing, who are living in shanty towns, living in makeshift, houses or tents around Nigeria, across Nigeria, it would have solved 65% of Nigerians' problem and 65% of the poverty stricken Nigerian population. So tonight I'm thinking, if I was Bill Gates, who always provides solution for global problems, what would I be thinking? What would I do to provide solution for Nigerian problem or Africans housing problem? Or if I was Bill Gates, made the Minister for Housing or the Commissioner for Housing of a state, what would I do? First of all, I'll set up a commission. This commission would be tasked with data, collecting data. First phase is to collect data. To collate this data, you have to deploy a technology that will facilitate the collation of data of the population of Nigerians, especially those who desperately need this housing like yesterday. This data will provide us the indices that indicate the level of Nigerians that desperately need this housing, those who already have housing, those who do not need immediate housing, and we now group all of this group from group A to F. So this technology will be deployed to be able to capture, to provide data. It's more like sensors, be able to capture Nigerians in various area space across Nigeria. Also, this technology will be deployed to, just like the satellite, capture every area space, land space in Nigeria, in every state and local government and area councils and wards, all the local crannies of Nigeria. When we collate this data within the next first phase of 6 months to 1 year, we are going to now determine from the indicators of the technology, determine how many households in Nigeria require homes. What is the population? What are the male figures? What are the female figures? What are the children? Who are the adult age? Who are the old age? Who are the, and then determine those who desperately need these homes in the red line zones, the area marked across the 36 states, and then we deploy, and then we come up with a budget for maybe in Nigeria, maybe 110 million homes. Desperate families desperately need homes across all the local government in Nigeria, when excluding the capital, local government areas, or even including capitals. When we deploy that, we come up with a strategy to be able to map out what kind of structures, what kind of road network, what kind of water system, what kind of drainage system. All of this will map out within this first 6 months. And then we come up with the budget strategy and how many households require these homes and how much can be established to. Remember, Nigerians do not have a database, so we have to deploy a technology that would make sure that every Nigerian who uses satellite phones, who uses technology related devices will capture, and we deploy a system where our commission will commission young Nigerians, maybe through the NYSC program. We are going to engage a commission of young soldiers, Nigerians, through the NYSC, for example, across the 36 states, across every local government, to be able to capture data. And those who will be missed out in this data, there are other ways through technology we can also be able to facilitate the coalition of proper data across the 36 states, even in Sambisa Forest. Remember, Sambisa was built by a Nigerian president who actually thought that place can be made a reserved, more like a safari, you know. So that data can be collated through satellite. And then third, we are going to now determine how many Nigerian youth need to facilitate financing a home from this data, from these families that desperately need these houses in these red line zones. How many are disabled? How many, what's the population of the disabled? What are the population of old people that cannot afford to finance a government housing program? We get all this data in the first phase. We'll collate this data. Now we know what we want to do. We need 120 million homes for about 130 million families across Nigeria in every state. Now that we have the data, we are going back to with our proposal and recommendation and strategy and plan and everything to government, to partner with government. So remember, we might not be needing government to provide the funding. We're going to go to the World Bank, sell out, some kind of initiative to be able to generate revenue or money for this project. We want to solve Nigerian housing problem without involving government, as Bill Gates, because Bill Gates Foundation is known for, finding solution for, global solution problems. So me, I'm thinking as Bill Gates now. We have finished the first phase, collating data of what we definitely need. We know the landmark. We know how much landmark we need to be able to build all of these homes across Nigeria. It's enough land. We have the data of how people who are going to be beneficiaries of these homes. We have the data for what they can do in financing their homes in case that strategy is what we're going to deploy. We go to government and get government authorization. This will take about 3 to 6 months. Once that is done, the first 2 years is done. In the third phase, we now have to start the project. Like I said, there are certain difficulties we're going to encounter through data collation. We're going to deploy the NYSC program, NYSC corpus to be able to achieve that. I remember when I was a youth corps member, we do some data collation for the UN. We're going to deploy technology that would, complement what the UN program is. Through this program, you're going to see that we can also give Nigeria or give the United Nations a round figure statistic of the actual population of Nigeria. That aside, now in the third phase, after government approval, we have now budgeted about maybe 300 trillion to accomplish this project in the first 12 years. Now we started, right? We're going to map out in every of the local governments, depending on the right line. We know how many houses are desperately needed in each local government. We commission those houses and we deploy massive housing infrastructure development across the 36 states. Now this program now extends to workers. For us to be able to achieve this in the next 4 years, to be able to come up with 60% of this in the next 1 year, target is 12 years to get every Nigerian a home. But then in 4 years, we want to achieve at least 80% of that. So the first 1 year, we're going to deploy workers. So that means it's going to lead to massive employment. Nigeria now is a building site for housing infrastructure. Drainage system, water treatment, all of these things. Massive deployment of employment. So it trickles out to employment. So the people that will be gainfully employed will be young people. These young people, as they work, they are going to be refinancing these homes through their wages. Minimum wage, how much is it? How much do you earn per month? How much goes back to financing a home? Now, we will determine if you are in the red line category where you desperately need a home, like people who live in shanty areas in Lagos, Abuja, all of these urban cities, who are on the streets, who desperately need to be taken off the streets or off take off homelessness, because half of the Nigerian population in urban city are homeless. They just stay in makeshift places or apartment or stuff like that. They don't really have a house. They don't live in a proper housing facility. They just live like animals. So those are in the red line zones. Now, those kind of zone, in that zone, what's the priority age bracket or indicator of who needs to, be able to access this housing? You have to be of at least 25 and married. Now we face the couples first, married couples first. So if you do not qualify to apply for this housing, go back to your family in your local government, through your family. If your father is too old, your mother is too old, use your family name. Don't use your name. So we're going to also deploy technology that will determine all of these indicators to be able to quickly give us the data of those who will be qualified in the first round of the red line to get this housing project, to help get this housing access. So you see that if I was Bill Gates, in 12 years, I think with critical thinking and technology and funding and proper structure and strategy, Nigeria will come out of houselessness or homelessness in 12 years. Why do I place it at 12 years, which takes us for government tenure? If government is not going to be a partner of this project, it's just purely initiative from Bill Gates, me, it's going to take me a lot of money, right? Remember, maybe 30 to 300 trillion is not small money in Naira. We're talking about over $200 trillion. This is massive project. How do I raise that? Even Bill Gates does not have that kind of money. So it's going to take down it's going to require a lot of projects, a lot of ideas, something to sell so you can recoup money, right? So I'll also have to design a structure or strategy on how people who will be beneficiaries can refinance these homes, and those category of people who cannot refinance this home will be beneficiaries for free. So this structure and this strategy would now be embedded through a government program that will require what government contribution to financing this project would be. Every month, if you earn how much money from your minimum wage, how much can you be put into your housing or financing your home? And remember, there are government civil servants who already benefited from government housing a long time up until today. But for those who desperately need these homes, are not civil servants. So we have a red line. We're going to come up with a strategy that will quickly capture the areas where these red line zones are mapped. With the government permission of that state and local government, we are going to have, through this program, my commission would be, identifying houses built illegally that do not carry the Nigerian landmark or the Nigerian master plan in all regional space in Nigeria, across every urban settlement, every city, every local government, every ward. There would be a master plan for every area space in Nigeria. Although Singapore is not big, Japan is not big, all of these areas where they are well developed and well designed, the US, China, and these places, they didn't just build houses. There is a master plan. Even as they are using technology to map out their area and regional space for building infrastructure. You see what happens when all these natural disasters happen. And all of this still happen, though it doesn't happen in Nigeria. But there are things that my technology or my commission would dictate that we'll have to demolish a whole lot of houses across big cities in Nigeria, develop drainages, waterways, road networks, electricity diameters and direction, wind directions and measure, what is it called, wind gauges, and all of these technologies that collate data that facilitate a national security database where you know what happened through wind, through water, all of this information, because that would be the deployment of our technology to capture every necessary data needed to facilitate a proper master plan for Nigeria housing solution. So if we talk about solutions in Nigeria, in Africa, it takes a critical thinker, a creative thinker, a problem solver, solution finder to be able to come up with an idea on how to solve the Nigerian problem. Remember, funding is essential, but as a wizard that I am, I would find a technology that I would deploy and generate this funding in the first 4 years of this project. The first 2 years, I would be able to finance this project as Bill Gates that I am. I'll be able to finance, mobilize through deployment of technology to be able to collate data and collect information or data around Nigeria, area space mapping, landmark mapping through satellites and images. And today, if you want to see your village, you can see your village, right? We deploy technology to capture that, so there will be no mist of any area or regional landmark or land space. So I believe that whatever problem we have in Nigeria can be solved if critical thinkers put their ideas to work and if government can support. Number two is if Nigerians are ready to cooperate, if Nigerians are willing to work with a strategy that could work for every Nigerian, not a selfish strategies where today we have every Nigerian now becoming a real estate developer, being selfish, wanting to make all the money in the world, accumulating wealth for themselves, not thinking about the rest of Nigerians, building houses where Nigerians cannot buy, and substandard buildings all across Nigeria in the name of, luxury. We are going to bring this